technically, I don't know what the fuck you're doing, but
Sure. I don't either. That's the secret.
But on the side,
You and
I'm
me
like,
both.
yeah, exactly. Well, there we go. Start your business.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Hey, Mark Hallie.
The Mark Hallie Show. How did you do it and why? I just want to let you know I'm Mark. I'm Mark. That's what I am. And you are?
My name's Mike Campbell.
Okay, Mike Campbell. Now listen, Mike, I got something. Before we get started, I got to ask you something.
Yeah.
You were working in the big business world, big bad business world.
The biggest.
Okay. Well, I had my own small business, but here's what I say. I always had this argument with people, and it's this: don't fight up in an organization. Right now, here's my deal. So somebody comes to me. It's happened to me twice. One time in particular, the guy who's under me happens to be a dude who's like a semi-partner, thrust upon me against my will.
Yeah.
Okay? So now I'm stuck with this guy we're just going to call him less than my friend. Okay. And the woman under him comes to me and she says, XYZ is an asshole. I said, okay, I know he's an asshole. We all know he's an asshole. But then she says, well, we got to do something about it. So I say to her,
You sure?
I said, really? Do you want it? I said, don't pick this fight.
Right.
Right. And she's like, no, let me tell you why. And I'm going to get some other people to tell you why. To which she doesn't know that I'm obliged to be with this guy because somebody said, investment group said I had to.
Yeah.
So now I'm saying, don't fight up. I said that to her, don't fight up. This is bad shit. It's not going to work well.
Right.
Because I'm going to have to stick to this guy's side. She wouldn't stop. And you know what happened? Take a guess.
Well, she got found out and she got let go or moved on.
She moved on.
Right.
And you get that with a lot of young guys where it's like, they're bitching about, their boss.
Right.
And what you want to say is bad fight to pick. Just bitch to your friends and work and hope that this guy or gal gets revealed on their own. And a lot of times, assholes get figured out.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
I also just find complaining doesn't help anything.
No.
I learned this a long time ago. I went to school in Hong Kong in 95,
All right.
96
All right.
for a year to study Chinese. And while I was there, I was with a bunch of exchange students.
Yep.
And it was a big shock to all of us. Huge shock, culture shock, living arrangements. It is nothing like what we were used to. And I'm from Idaho. Right? I've never been anywhere. First time out of the
as I
country.
recall.
What's that?
Broncos.
Yeah. At the time, I was not at Boise State. I was at University of Idaho.
Okay.
I just spent some time up there working as a musician and going to music school and then changed my major.
All right.
So then I went to Hong Kong for a year. And while I was there, what I learned from people who explicitly told me that, they're like, well, in our culture, Asian culture, when we teach our kids that when you complain without solutions, you just make everybody uncomfortable. Everybody just gets unhappy.
Yep.
And so your net, change, your net impact is a negative one.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just you're driving it down.
Right. And of course, people are part of the environment. In fact, they're maybe one of the most important parts of our environment.
Yeah. You get a bunch of people you don't like.
Right. So are you going
to
go through life constantly trying to fight against things that are just a part of your environment? Or are you going to use that environment in a way that lifts, yourself towards your goals, but maybe other people too?
Yeah. I used to say too, here's another one that a lot of people will do. They come into my office and they say, here's all the things that are wrong.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And then you go,
right.
Hey, okay. Then they want to leave the office. And my attitude is,
why did you even come here?
Yeah. Don't come in here and dump this shit on me.
Right.
I mean, what good's that? You got shit to do. I got shit to do.
Yeah.
And I'm running a business and I got a lot to do.
Right. And
one of which may be you don't work here anymore.
May very well be. Because you're either helping the business succeed or you're not. In any job that you have, when you're part of an organization, you really have one job, which is help the organization succeed, help the team win.
Yep.
This is absolutely true in sports.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. I played them all my life.
You played them on it. Great. And so obviously everyone has to be focused on winning, whatever winning takes to do. Right. And if people in an organization are thinking, well, how do we win? Then they become I know that my role may be to contribute certain things typically to help us win, and I'll do the best I can there.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a role, not a job.
Yeah.
A job is help the team win. And if you can't do that, you don't belong in that organization. I came from a music background, arts and all that stuff, had some computers when I was a kid. And then when, a couple of years of working in the bar scene, basically making my living being a musician full time, I switched my major over to business and kind of computers and kind of languages. I was in this kind of year at the University of Idaho for my third year, where I didn't really know exactly what the career was, but I knew what I wanted to be doing. And so whatever career I was going to go into, I knew it contained certain things that I would just start studying.
Well, wait, okay, so here you're like banging around in a bar, you're hanging out.
Yep.
What happens? You just, because I think the cool path here is that you made a significant shift.
Yeah.
And there's something going on within you that you said, no, I know my passion is this.
Right.
But all of a sudden something says to you, I got a curve. So what's the logic in there?
It's challenge. For me, I can't succeed in an environment where I don't feel challenged. Even if others are looking at me saying, wow, you did a good job, I don't feel successful if it doesn't stretch me in some way.
So the music wasn't making you feel successful at the time?
It could have in a certain context, but in the context I was in a college town.
Yep.
Small town, 18,000 people are in Moscow, Idaho. Across the border in
Moscow,
Pullman,
Idaho, not
Idaho.
The big I, Moscow.
No, and that's cow. Whereas Moscow, ironically, not pronounced cow.
Okay.
Even though you can see it awful lot from your backyard.
Yeah.
So I'm in Moscow and I'm going to school and
playing in bands and
I'm playing in bars,
slinging beers and all that kind of stuff.
Doing all that kind of stuff. But the career path ahead of me, remember at this point, I got this job at 18 working in bars, making my living with guys who were 15 years older than me, and they'd been doing it a long time. They were in that town to get their music degrees because they had decided they needed more than just playing in the bars every night, and they wanted to build a career.
So they were going for it.
So they were going for music, right. And I was a new music major when I joined the group, got into the group. We made a living. It was awesome. But I could see that all it was every single night was party.
Get wasted.
It was show up, perform on stage, have fun, party all night, go to class the next day. And I'm like, where am I going with this? Is this my life? If so, that doesn't feel worthwhile to me.
Okay. But you still had so now, because I'm going to walk through the path here.
Yeah.
Now you go into this professional career.
Right.
Do I have it right that you started at Oracle?
Close. I started with a company called PeopleSoft, which was acquired by Oracle several years later, about 7 years after I joined PeopleSoft. PeopleSoft was a fantastic company, great mission. Mm-hmm. It was corporate, but at the time there was so much money in tech.
Yeah.
And the, parties were huge, flying people around the world, all this kind of stuff. It was a blast.
Yep.
And there was a shortage of talent.
Okay. At Oracle or at PeopleSoft?
In the industry.
In the industry.
In the entire industry, because this was 1999.
Yeah. Okay.
So definitely a big shortage.
Just before .com, boom.
Right at that time.
Yeah.
So if you recall, in kind of the later 90s, but not quite 99, there was a bust in tech.
Okay. Yeah.
And I came on as it was recovering from that bust.
Did you know that?
No. What was crazy was when the way I chose my major was I literally flipped through the college catalog.
I just was like, I'll do this.
And just what do I enjoy here? What do I have a skill set that can help me succeed in? And it wasn't even a major at the time. It was languages. Yeah. I'd been studying Japanese for a couple of years and I'm like, cool. I find I'm good at languages. So, and I love it. And I want to do that. Travel, I loved, even though I'd never done it.
Yeah. Okay.
I just knew I would, right? Because I enjoy having new experiences and meeting new people.
Yep.
And then computers, I'd had a computer as a kid, I was good at math, I kind of took to that world. And so I was like, maybe there's something here if I combine these things. And so I just started taking those classes and I enrolled in at University of Idaho, the business curriculum. So I could get things like accounting and basic finance and all that out of the way. But I also did the languages, and that's when I went to Hong Kong. Okay. So I come out in graduation, and by this time I'd transferred to Boise State for a few years.
Okay.
Met my future wife.
All right.
We're still together.
Okay.
And honed in on two majors, international business and computer information systems.
That. I saw
part
that.
Of the business college.
I saw that, yeah.
And those two satisfied my whole kind of, this is the kind of thing I want to do.
But now you don't know that right away. You go in and give it a plug. You're like, okay, I'm going to give this a wing. I'm a young guy, whatever. I'm going to go for it.
Yeah, I was just in learning, soaking
and
up
then you
mode.
figure out, wow, I kind of like this shit.
Yeah. Well, it's fine. I remember one thing I did when I was evaluating majors, and I thought, well, what about this CIS thing, Computer Information System? So I went to the library at U of I.
Yeah.
And I found a textbook that was like a first year, this is Intro to Computer Information Systems. And I read it cover to cover.
All right.
And loved it. And like, oh shit, this is definitely what I want to do in my life.
Yeah.
This is rad.
Cool.
And then dove in kind of thing. And then changed schools because it was a better fit. So what I learned from that whole experience was when I focus on learning and getting good at things that can make me happy, I find the opportunities to make a living.
Key idea.
Yeah.
A paycheck. These are important things.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, oh yeah, great. Everybody says, oh, follow your passion.
Yeah.
Well, we can follow our passion, but maybe it's best to look for a passion. Rather than, like you say, yeah, I'm playing music in a bar. That's my passion.
Yes.
But the bottom line is you're beating the shit out of yourself.
Right.
And you're living a lifestyle you don't want to live.
Right.
And you read something that sounds interesting, but you're really taking a dive.
Of course.
Yeah, you're taking a dive.
But that's life.
Yeah.
But then I went deep into my career, graduating in 99, going to work for PeopleSoft. They were acquired by Oracle.
Yeah. When somebody gets acquired like that,
it was hostile.
Are you kind of like shitting your pants? Like you might be the one thrown out?
It was more than a year.
Uh-huh.
The entire process of the hostile takeover.
Hostile.
I began while I was working in Sydney, Australia.
Right
so I joined PeopleSoft in 99. They extend me an offer as a full-time consultant because I'd been doing an internship at my university, Boise State, for a year and a half, implementing their software in the university's systems.
Okay.
And working side by side with their consultants from the PeopleSoft company.
Right on. Okay.
And so they all vouched for me, and the CEO of the company came on site because we were a big partner and met me. And so I just had a job offer waiting. Yeah. Which is amazing.
Yeah,
awesome.
you're lucky. You're lucky.
Very lucky.
Yeah, very lucky.
The only reason that occurred was because a chain of events behind it that led to it that really involved me just saying, how can I become, better, more skilled, more agile in life, more flexible, and working on myself.
PeopleSoft, and now, all of a sudden, okay, hostile takeover. Yeah. We won't get into the
Larry
definition.
Ellison makes an announcement. It's all over the news at the time. It's huge, the biggest news in the industry.
Oh, really? And basically, he's saying, "I'm buying this."
Oh, yeah. There was never any question about his intention, and the officers of our company fought it.
Yep.
Eventually, they couldn't fight it anymore, and they literally held a meeting one day. By this time, I'd moved back from Australia, but to California, working in the tools division, which is hardcore coding, deep, memory management, all that kind of stuff. And then they have this conference call one day. Everyone is instructed to go into their nearest conference room. The entire company, all around the world, is on the phone at the same time.
This is not good.
The executives were crying.
Really?
On the phone, talking about how this is it. They're giving up. They're done. This is the end of the journey.
So now you're sitting there and tell me about.
And my wife works for the same company.
Yikes.
We're carpooling today. We're carpooling to work every day together at this time.
And you don't know.
We don't know if either of us will have a job or our friends. We don't know.
Yeah. So when you say deep dive, deep dive into memory. What the hell is that?
Well, it's just tech. Software technology. So I was writing in COBOL. I was writing in C++ and C, and in these old, from the 20th century, software tech. It's funny, but it literally was.
Yeah.
Those technologies, you had to write statements to describe when you're going to let go of computer memory.
Yeah.
To store some value.
To flush stuff out.
Right, because otherwise you end up with memory leaks in your program, and the computer eventually crashes running your.
It just doesn't have enough
software.
Juice.
Right. So nowadays, all the technologies in which people write code manage the memory automatically.
Okay. So now
they didn't at the time.
So now Oracle, right?
Yeah.
Now
so Oracle buys us.
Have you started to formulate the idea that I don't know if I like this career, or are you still just slugging away in it? Like mentally, are you saying I'm still a team member? I'm going to perform well, or does Oracle kind of throw a big old
Oracle sucks. Yeah.
Really?
There's no question. And let me say this a different way. My experience in the moment was this sucks.
Okay.
My wife's too.
Okay.
Suddenly I was carpooling to, the Silicon Valley headquarters of Oracle, Mountain View, I think.
Yeah.
And, it adds an extra hour to my commute. It's already 1 hour. And my job goes from building cool stuff for our PeopleSoft customers to building stuff that moves our customers to Oracle stuff instead.
Okay.
After years of building cool stuff for the company I was in. And I just didn't like it, but I had options.
Yep.
Because at the time, I was like a young and up and coming in the industry and had cool experience because I'd worked overseas. I'd done a bunch of projects. I'd led projects. And so I interviewed very well. I interviewed with Microsoft and Amazon up here and took a job at Amazon, and they relocated me up to this area from California.
But bang, Amazon's a year. And so
it's only 6 months. It was a crazy experience.
So it must not have been a good one.
It was a terrible one for me personally.
Okay.
Because it just didn't fit me and the way I like to operate.
So my experience as a small business guy is a lot of people go to Amazon.
Yeah.
And then you hear like, I'm out.
Yeah. It's a grinder. It's always been a grinder. And, that's a well-known thing for people who work in the industry. And so I go to work there. It was a very interesting thing. I interviewed for a job as a program manager. So going at that time from coding all the time to managing projects.
Yeah.
Interviewed for that with their search engine department.
Yep.
At the time, the homepage was a list of products.
Okay.
And it was like some messages and stuff. It was a bookstore primarily at the time too.
Yep.
This was a long time ago. And so I come in and then I get a call while I'm waiting for the relocation date. And we're in the process of selling our house in California.
Yep.
And I get a call from a senior vice president, works directly for Jeff Bezos. And he says, hey, saw you in there, you got accepted, you got a job here, but I want to ask you if you could work for a different department. There's this project Bezos is trying to launch. It's been a few years. Nobody's been able to get it done, but he really wants to see it go live. You seem like you have the right experience in project management. I want you to take over this project instead of and work for completely different people. Everything's completely different.
Work for Bezos, like meet Bezos and shit like that?
Yeah. So I ran a project that Jeff Bezos was particularly interested in. He'd kind of come up with the idea, I think.
Yeah.
And in 3 months, we launched it from the time I joined the team.
Okay.
And I met Jeff a couple of times doing just like you and me, maybe one other person in a conference room going over how the things are going and showing off what we'd built and him saying, that's great. Let's change this and this. And then we did that.
Pleasant guy to meet just in general?
Very pleasant. I enjoyed meeting him quite a bit.
Yeah. But trickled down through the organization, I guess things started once again. Organizations are organizations.
Yes.
So shit starts going on because you got personalities, you got politics, you got all that kind of stuff.
In that 6 months, I had 4 bosses. And 3 of them were fired.
Oh, that's a nice feeling.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm like, wait, who's next? And I was, my only hope at the time was since we had no director.
Yeah.
I was filling in for the director role. I was working directly for a president who worked for a vice president who worked for Jeff Bezos. And for a while, I worked directly for a senior vice president who worked for Jeff Bezos. And Jeff was my skip. It was pretty fun. But there, it was right after they'd fired some people and they were going to bring more people in. And so I'm going to these director meetings with people, who've now gone on to run big, successful companies all over the world.
But time's ticking away. We only got 6 months here, and you're meeting all these people. And
3 months we launch. The next couple of months, I'm being the acting director. But I've never had any experience or training in this. So I'm just kind of going along, copying what I see everybody else doing. And then they bring someone else in who also had no experience. And that was kind of the final straw. I was like, I've put the work in. I've done all this stuff. But nothing is a meritocracy. Yeah. That's a fallacy.
Yeah. Okay.
You can phrase things as a meritocracy if you want to do the mental gymnastics and say, well, it is if you look at it the specific way. But in reality, there are, as you said before, so many factors at play in every single decision that happens.
You don't know what's going on.
You don't know what's going on.
You don't know. And a lot of it has, I'll say this, when in my business, I borrowed money and had some investors, not at the monster level of public. Right. But I always thought the higher I moved up, the quote corporate chain, the less I enjoyed the audience. Because I would be kind of like smart guy, nice guy, but there was something there that I didn't quite. There was an aspiration there that was different than mine, and I didn't like it. I didn't. I paid them all off, and I just was like, all right, I'm done with that. I don't need to prove myself if I have to dip back into that audience. It just didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
So now Amazon is like a disaster.
For me personally, it was really, really hard. I was stressed out an awful lot. And Microsoft, who I'd interviewed with at the time, before I accepted the offer from Amazon, called back and said, hey, we found another role that we think you'd be really good at. Are you interested?
Yep.
And I interviewed with MSN, 2 different teams in MSN over a Friday and following Monday. Great interviews both times, really liked the people, picked one and went with that. And then that was the next 17 years of my life.
Wow.
Since they let me go as part of a reduction in force, they also wrote me a big old check. I'd been there for so long that I kind of got the maximum payout.
Cool.
Yeah, which was great. And so I went to work trying to found a business for myself. Because at that point, I know I can't go back to corporate America. It's terrible. It's terrible for my health.
Yeah, it's just
and I've
not
got
working.
ideas and I've got skills. So I started writing software tools that run online for ideas that I had, but none of them really had a market, a customer base.
That's not good.
No. Which anyone trying to come up with a business idea realizes pretty quickly when you start coming up with a model and you're like, I don't have a market for this.
Yeah.
Then you got to come up with something else.
Yeah.
You got to adjust. And so I was doing that while, and then after a bit, I started looking for another job in tech, but it became very clear that
it's not my game.
Yeah. So I leave the industry. Obviously, I'm forced out.
Yep.
But I'm happy for that. My mental health's getting better and better.
And I got it.
And then I start going to shows because I'm in bands and I'm meeting bands and I'm performing a lot again. Punk rock.
Okay,
metal,
cool.
punk rock. Right now, punk rock is my main band.
Really?
Yeah, the Cascadian Divide. Check it out.
Cascadian Divide.
The Cascadian Divide. We write great songs. We have great energy on stage, and I think you'll all love the music.
All right.
But she's like, hey, you're doing all this stuff with music. And I'd been coming to a local studio.
Yep.
Looks a lot like this one, and learning all the ins and outs of audio and getting better at that kind of stuff and just taking to it. And my wife's like, you know what, do more of this. I started going to shows at local venues and asking the bands in the venue ahead of time and setting up some cameras. I invested in a little kind of 1080p camera
So you made the decision to go, and now you're doing what you love, but now you start tiptoeing into this new business.
Right.
You're not in lock, stock, and barrel.
I didn't see it as a business. I saw it as something I like to do and a skill set I wanted to acquire.
Okay.
And something I wanted to turn into a business, but I didn't know how yet. So that same old kind of mindset I've always had where I go, well, I don't know how to create my future step by step, but I know my future needs these skills. Yeah. So I'm going to go head first into the skills.
Yeah.
And then as I learn them, I'll keep my eyes open for paths to turn this into a career.
Yeah, which a lot of people don't do that.
Right.
They don't want to get down and learn the brass tacks. It's like, it's a cool idea. Right. Wow, I'll do it. Right on. And then they shit the bed.
Yeah.
So you went, I think, the prudent direction, and that is, let's get down and dirty and find out what it's like mopping the floor.
Yes.
And now start moving up.
Yeah.
And
because I'm just intensely curious.
Yeah.
And I love to understand things at the most fundamental level I can.
Okay. So when does Northwest Live finally say, boom, I'm Northwest Live?
That's right. So I'm going to shows and I'm filming and mixing. So I learned to plug my computer into a digital console, like a board on the soundboard, and then capture all the raw right off the preamps, every single part of the signal chain, and mix it all up. And I start putting videos out on YouTube.
Yep.
And then it just comes to me. I'm like, this should be called Northwest Live.
All right.
I was talking to my mother on the phone, still very close with my mom, and talking about the channel and what the names, because I was kind of batting a few names back and forth. Sure, what should I call this YouTube channel? And then I said, it'd be great, just Northwest Live. I didn't think that it was available or anything. And then did a research. I'm just like, you know what? It looks like it kind of is available. There was another kind of studio using it, but they weren't doing much.
Yeah.
I've since bought their domain from them.
Okay.
And they're happy that I'm going to use it and actually make, the kind of content.
Hostile domain takeover?
Gosh, no. Not in any way. Reached out to them, said, hey, this is what we're about. And they chose to do it because they knew that what I was creating was in the spirit of what they wanted to use it for.
And now, are you achieving that goal?
Yeah. So right now, we've built a podcast studio.
Okay.
And a stage.
Okay.
And then a lounge studio with the control room like what we see here.
Yeah.
In my facility.
Okay.
which is not in my home. It's
By the way, I looked
industrial
at your website. I
Yeah?
looked at some of your videos.
It's
Oh
coming
yeah,
along.
yeah. So by the way, the layout of your website is nicely done.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, the pictures are crisp, they're clean, and when I looked at them, I'm like, oh, I know what that guy's doing.
Yeah.
Now
oh,
I don't
great.
technically, I don't know what the fuck you're doing, but
Sure. I don't either. That's the secret.
But on the side,
and
I'm
me
like,
both.
yeah, exactly. Well, there we go. Start your business. So anyway, now you got all this going on. How you pull the business in?
Yeah. So Yelp has been a source of some business. And I'm working with a marketing firm that is right now starting to put out content that I'm making in the studio, showing what I can do. And I hired a full-time videographer who's in the industry and, somebody who really knows what he's doing. Yeah. The vision that I really have now is in the music industry. Yep. There are a lot of things working against the artist, especially the independent artist. But even if you sign with a label, you're now facing a massive uphill climb because the whole system is designed to enrich someone else. Yeah. Right?
You don't
if you make the rules,
Spotify.
You enrich yourself through those rules.
Yeah.
And any altruism you try to advertise is really a marketing strategy. Yeah. So the end game here is to have a space, a platform where artists can be seen without the extra noise involved currently with how, where does the money go and how do you build an audience? Because how people build an audience today in music is different than how it was before. Everything's changed. It's all about getting content out there. And it's stuff that a lot of artists are not particularly good at. Yeah. So, what labels used to do is the things musicians weren't good at, so the musicians could do the things they were. Now there's nobody filling that role because the things that make you successful as a musician have changed so much, and the labels are no longer incentivized to provide that for artists because they're incentivized to protect their catalog of IP, of copyright. That's their whole motivation now. So there's a missing agent in the marketplace.
Okay, so you're the end game here would be to find a unique avenue for the delivery of music.
Correct. So that, if there is someone out there, us, Northwest Live, who can do the things that you would have to do to create an online audience, we can take that over and provide the production environment to make you look and sound like a professional, playing your music authentically, and building an audience without having to become a daily, content factory.
Hey, well, Mike Campbell from Northwest Live in Redmond, Washington. Yeah. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure. I've enjoyed meeting you a lot.
Good. Well,
I hope we get to keep in touch.
Yeah, I'm a great guy. That's the bottom line.
Undisputed.
Thank you.
No challenge here.
Yeah, have a nice day.
Thank you, Mark.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to The Mark Howley Show. If you found this story as intriguing as we did, give us a like, share the episode, and subscribe at The Mark Howley Show. New episodes every other Friday. Adios.